Okay, I am live. Give me a moment to get everything situated and we can start. Um, let's put this like this. Okay, I'm just going to share the link on Twitter again. Okay, hi guys. Thank you for joining me again for part 2 of this Sexual Revolution video series. I'm honestly really pleased with how the conversation went yesterday. I'm pleased with with the feedback that I got, the positive and the negative feedback. I'm very pleased because, I mean, like I said, the pushback and the fighting that people are doing to kind of argue, against this conversation or just to debate this conversation. This is what I want to happen. I want the debate. I want the conversation. I want the exchanging of ideas so that, maybe not necessarily for the people who are engaging in the conversation, but those that are watching the conversation, there's something to be gained for everybody, even, you know what I'm saying, the person that isn't listening. So we're gonna talk about a couple of more of I guess the bullet points that I kind of broke down this topic into. Again, I'm not really sure how many parts are going to, come of this video series, but the more the better. So before I get into the actual topics that I wanted to talk about today, I kind of wanted to address some of the feedback that I got from people from yesterday. Same sort of, responses and tweets as far as people saying, that for them, sex isn't the emotional, it's not emotional. It's not about the love. It's not about the intimacy. It's just about the physical pleasure. It's just about feeding that desire, that physical desire. You know what I mean? That's their motivation. And, like I discussed yesterday, and I don't remember if it was in the YouTube or if it was in the Periscope, but like I discussed yesterday, I think fundamentally there is an issue with people who are, whether it be sex, whether it be food, whether it be alcohol, whether it be sleep, whether it be anything that we do, any action that we take that feeds a physical desire in us, the root chakra functions. I feel that it can be dangerous and detrimental for us to only approach handling or satisfying those desires from a physical level. I feel like in order for us to grow and in order for us to expand, in order for us to ascend past the state that we're at now as a collective, we have to stop just doing things because it feels good. Like, it's important to feel good, but there are a lot of things that feel good that are not good for us in the long run. And so, you know what I mean? I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding with a lot of people that have been hearing my perspective on this topic, thinking that what it is that I'm saying is to say that, you have to, discipline yourself so much that you're not, you know what I'm saying, letting yourself feel good, or you're not letting yourself indulge in those physical pleasures. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. Like, I really, and it's frustrating because I feel like, I try my best when I do threads on Twitter. I try my best to be thorough. I try my best to cover as many bases as possible. You know what I mean? I try really hard to do that. And, it there's only so much depth that you can reach on a platform like Twitter, which is why I wanted to do a video series so that you guys can hear me speak on it on a more expanded, on a more thorough level. So it's not just, a couple of tweets and then you think that that's just all I have to say, and that's all I think about the topic. There are way more layers and levels to this than just that Twitter thread. Going back to what I was saying, though, yes, it is important to feel good. It is important to allow yourself to indulge in certain physical pleasures and things that are physically satisfying. But it becomes a problem when you are doing those things in excess. It becomes a problem when you are doing those things unconsciously and without intention. I am promoting intention. I am promoting awareness, and I am promoting consciousness when it comes to every action that we're taking. And I feel like it's important for all of us, whether it be if we have the desire to have sex, or if we have the desire to eat, or if we have the desire to sleep, or if we have the desire to do any of these other, like I said, root chakra functions. Ask yourself why you want to do those things. Honestly, I feel like there is a very literal, very obvious connection between people that feel like they can't control, or let's not use control. There's a link between people who indulge in sex for purely the physical satisfaction and the physical pleasure that you get from it, and people that use food in the same way. And so this kind of starts to get, the relationship between both of those things are very similar. It's a different sort of conversation, but there's a whole other, plethora of issues that come from, the same sort of, like, thinking about this in the standpoint of dealing with food and eating is going to help you see more about what it is that I'm saying without the trigger of, talking about like sexuality. Because of today, where we are as a society, and how everybody is trying to liberate our sexual energy and free our sexuality. It's been taken overboard, right? And so look at food. Look at the way in which most people in today's society treat food. We have holidays that are dedicated to spending time with family that revolve around food. We have an oversaturation of food and restaurants in this particular country. Fast food restaurants, you know what I mean? All of these crazy ass restaurants and recipes that they're doing now with like 10-pound steaks and 10-pound burritos, and the burgers that are filled with cheese on top and inside, and all these extra ass, like, gluttonous ways in which you can enjoy and eat food. And it has to do with the excess. It all has to do with the excess. Your body doesn't need that shit. If we're talking about food and if we're talking about sex, your body doesn't need those things. You think you need those things because you have a desire and you have a craving, and you feel like because, it's 2018 and, life is short, that, you should just let yourself have whatever it is that you want. You should just, indulge in whatever you want, however much you want. That's not smart. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. Like, I'm telling you, like, I don't understand, like, how many other ways I can put this to get people to understand how dangerous it is to allow yourself to fall into that downward spiral of just feeding physical desires. There's so much more to life than sex. There's so much more to life than food. There's so much more to life than all of these things that satisfy your root chakra. Why do you think your root chakra is the first of 7? Of way more. There's way more than 7 chakras, but the main 7. It's the first one. There's so many other levels that we have to reach. There's so many other levels that we have to expand to and ascend to. And everybody's stuck on the first 2. Everybody's stuck in the root and in the sacral because it feels good, because it's physically satisfying, or because, you know what I'm saying, it makes you feel fulfilled on some level. And I don't understand why so many people are not more interested in going beyond that and expanding beyond that. Like, the purely for pleasure thing is something we really have to get out of. The purely for the pleasure thing is something that we really, really have to stop. Like, this shit has to stop. It really does. It really has to stop. I need you guys to consider something, and this is something that on Twitter, her profile is Ann Sending. She after watching the video yesterday, brought this up and, you know, articulated this, and this is something that is very important that I've you know, overlooked in mentioning yesterday in the conversation. Look at it, because yesterday I did bring up religious dogma, right? I brought up religious indoctrination and how, you know what I mean, there has been that demonization of the divine feminine and that demonization of the physical pleasures and all of these things, and that basically that's one system that's on one end of the spectrum, and on the other end of the spectrum there is this sexual liberation movement that's happening that is completely removing the discipline aspect. There is a very specific reason why this is happening, why both of these dynamics are happening at the same time. It's to fuck with you. It's to fuck with you. I promise you, it's to fuck with you. On one hand, you have religion, which is telling you that you will burn in hell and suffer if you indulge in all of these sexual interests and whatever sexual activities that you are attracted to, right? It's the sin, right? It's the fear that they program into you on a religious, you know, dogmatic level, that, you know, you can't express this energy because if you do, you will, you know, burn in hell, or you are sinful, or you are dirty, or whatever it is, right? That's something that you're being told in one ear, and it's making you feel shame. It's making you feel guilt. It's making you feel wrong for your urges, for your pleasures, or for the things that you find pleasurable. It's making you feel ashamed. And so that starts the cycle of the unstable relationship that we have with our sexuality. I feel like for a lot of religions, this is something that is true. And so you have that on one end of the spectrum. You have that, you know, coming in one ear. On the other side, in the other ear, you have the media that are promoting sex, casual sex, commercials on TV, alcohol commercials where it's the sex appeal, perfume commercials where it's all about the sex appeal. You know what I'm saying? They even food commercials. Have y'all seen those Carl's Jr. or those Hardee's commercials where it's like the model and she's like on a car and she's all oiled up and she's like eating the burger like all sensual? There's a reason why they're giving you those images. On one hand, they want to start the dysfunction by telling you it's bad to have sex, but then they want to bombard you with images of sex so that you feel wrong because of the religious dogmatic, you know what I'm saying, ideas for wanting sex. And then they intensify that and perpetuate that even more by bombarding you and saturating the media and music and movies and everything that we see, cartoons, magazine ads, with sex, to further that shame, right? To continue to even more like grind that in, because it's all around you now. You're getting subconsciously programmed by the media, by the things that you're seeing and hearing every day, to want more sex than you probably already naturally want. And then you have, like I said, the dogma that says it's bad, that it's wrong, that it's unclean, that it's dirty, or whatever. And all of this is just feeding into the spiral of dysfunction. It's all feeding into that spiral of dysfunction where you just have this completely, like, either you're completely repressed and you're shutting all of your sexual energy down and you're shutting all of that shit down, or you're completely on the other end of the spectrum and you're just completely wilding the fuck out. We cannot exist on these levels of extremes anymore. We have to start finding the middle ground now. We are evolved enough as a collective, I feel, or I hope, that we can start seeing how it's unhealthy and how it's unbalanced to be on any one side of the spectrum too far, you know what I'm saying, on either end. And so a lot of people had an issue with the fact that, like, you know, the original thread that I posted that spurred this whole entire conversation from the jump was where, again, like, it was the tweet where I said, you know, sex is what you do when you love someone so much you want your body to merge with theirs, or however exactly I worded it. And, you know, again, everyone's response is, well, what if I just want a nut? What if I just want, what if it just feels good? It feels good. It's not about the love. I don't have to be in love to have sex. Of course you don't. Of course you don't have to be in love to have sex. I know that. I've had sex before and I wasn't in love with people, and it was good sex. The best sex that I've had, though, has been with people that maybe I wasn't in love with, but that I cultivated love with, that I experienced love with, that I went into the exchange honoring that person as a reflection of myself. And because I love myself, I honor and love that other person. And we are able to come together in this energy exchange. When you come into a sexual encounter with those types of intentions, you raise the vibration of that sex. You raise the vibration of that experience. If all you're doing is going to somebody and fucking them just so you can get a nut, that is base level energy. Why do you want to vibrate on that level only? Why don't you want to expand past just the physical? Yes, we're here in physical bodies, but we're not just physical. We are spiritual. We are our heart, and we are soul, and we are spirit. And if it wasn't for our heart and our soul and our spirit, these physical vehicles that we're in wouldn't work. They wouldn't function. They wouldn't move. And so what I hear you guys saying when you're saying that it's just about the physical pleasure, where's your soul at? Where's your heart at? Like, that's the important thing. You're out here robotic as fuck, like allowing your body, which is a vehicle, which is like a car, you're allowing the car to drive itself. That's something that Ramaj talked about when he came on my podcast on Bad and Bruja, and we talked about twin flames, I believe. It's, you're letting the car drive you. You're letting your physical vehicle, you're letting this thing that you're supposed to have mental, spiritual, and emotional control over call the shots. So every time you feel horny, you give into that desire by having sex with someone that doesn't honor you, or that you don't honor them. And that's fucked up. That's the part that I'm trying to shed light on. That's fucked up. It's fucked up for you to only address the world and in interactions with people and relationships, whether it be sexual or friendship or family relationships or relationships or whatever the case may be, from this basic ass level, because we're more than just animals. We're more than just these physical bodies that you know, that have these desires. We At one point in time, yes, maybe the concern was, only to um, ensure the continuation of the human species. Once upon a time, we didn't have the luxury of, considering love when it came to sex. We didn't have the luxury because we were in survival mode. When, but if you think about just the history of the world and the history of humanity, like, times are hard now, but back then they were harder. They were a lot harder for people. People struggled way more than they do now. And I think a lot of the ways in which we approach sex is still kind of outdated. I feel like a lot of it is outdated. Sex is not just about survival. Sex is not just about continuing on the human race. Now we need to start approaching sex from an elevated state of mind, knowing that every single time you have sex with someone, you are manifesting and creating something. You are bringing something to life, whether it be an actual child or not. Not a child is, probably the highest manifestation of what a sexual union can produce. But there are many other things that are manifest and made physical through sex. And so if you're not conscious of that, if you're just saying, I'm going to have sex with this person just because I need to have an orgasm, just to satisfy this physical feeling that I have, what do you think that manifests in the long run? More of that desire, more of that hunger and that craving that you have. Why do you want the sex? If you want the sex just to have an orgasm, why do you want the orgasm? I feel like there are people that are not asking themselves these questions about the things that they want and that they desire and that they crave. This is another reason why thinking about this in the context of food cravings is very similar to sexual cravings. When you are hungry, most of the time, and this is something that I have experienced with as well. I've been dealing with both of these issues with sexual cravings and physical cravings as far as like food is concerned. A lot of the times when you feel like you want to eat food and you're not hungry, you're not hungry. You have a craving because you have a programming that, or there's a system that you're used to where, you're just used to doing things a certain way. And so most of the time when people think that they're hungry, they're not hungry. This is just something in their in the programming between, the relationship of the stomach and the brain, that the messages are getting mixed up. This is why detoxing and fasting is so important, from food and from sex. Because when you start to remove that thing that you're feeding yourself with, whether it be food or sex or whatever other thing, weed, if you're a smoker or a drinker or whatever, with alcohol, whenever you remove that thing, that external thing, and you ask yourself and you explore where those cravings and desires are coming from, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see that it's not actually associated with anything physically that you're craving. We don't have to have sex. Somebody responded to me, earlier today, that the purpose behind sex is reproduction. And biologically, yes, but are we simply, biological beings? Do we not also have another aspect to us, which is, like I said, the emotional and the mental and the spiritual, the soul level aspect? So when you're having sex, and I think, on a biological level, on a hormonal level, yes, there are going to be periods of time where you feel the craving and the desire to have sex, because this is the biological part of your body telling you that right now is a time in which you're prime and ready to reproduce. A woman, when she's ovulating, when I'm ovulating, I know that my sex drive increases. It skyrockets, because it's like my body is ready to my eggs are ready to be fertilized, and that's a biological signal telling my body to, follow that natural that natural signal. But what about if we're not trying to have children? If you're not trying to have children and you have these sexual urges, what do you do with that? Do you just satisfy that sexual urge, that biological, physical, base level desire? Or do you explore more into what is making you feel that way? Like I said yesterday, most of the time when you feel like you want to have sex with someone, it's because you want something more. All of the things that manifest on your body as physical cravings and desires and attractions to things are more than just physical, because we are more than just physical. And so, like I said, yes, in some situations, for women, like I said, as far as like our hormonal cycle is concerned, there are going to be times when you feel more sexually um, aroused or whatever than other times, because this is your body telling you that this is the right time. If you wanted to have a baby, that it'll work. But we're there's more than just that biological signal. I have a problem with the fact that there are so many people out here that are just like blindly letting their bodies guide and dictate their actions. I honestly feel like that's weakness. I honestly really do. Body, mind, and soul are one, right? But soul comes first. In the order, if we're gonna talk about order and like a hierarchy, soul is first, then mind, then body. And so if you feel something on a physical level, on a body level, you need to go up a couple of steps and see what it is that your mind is telling you that you're craving. And then go up one more step and then see what it is that your soul is telling you that you're craving. Because I guarantee you, if you think about it a little bit longer, before you go out and you call somebody up for a booty call, I guarantee you, if you think about it a little bit longer, you're going to see that there's something deeper that you're craving versus just the physical connection, versus just the actual intercourse. I feel like it's weakness. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, for you to just allow your, like I said, I used an example yesterday that, like, okay, it's physically pleasing and I enjoy sex. It's also physically pleasing to, you know what I'm saying, go to some fast food restaurant and eat 7 burgers. Maybe my body craves that. Maybe my body is like, you know what? You want a big fat half-pound burger with 5 slices of cheese and this and that and all of this extra shit, right? That's the craving, right? Similar to when you just decide, you just feel like it feels good to have sex and you crave sex. It's the same with food. It really is. Like, and that's where I'm trying to show you the relationship and the importance of the discipline, because just because my body wants something doesn't mean it's good for me. Just because my body wants something doesn't mean it's good for me in the long run. And you guys have to grow up. Like, we have to grow up and stop allowing our bodies to call the shots. Our mind controls our body and our soul controls our mind. And so if you are not addressing those higher 2 aspects, you're just going to let your body call all of the shots. And your body is smart, but it needs some help. It needs some help, especially because of just, what I'm saying, the way that things are and the way that we've been programmed. Like, your body is going to, you know what I'm saying, because most of us have been exposed to unhealthy sexual behavior and practices. Most of us have been exposed to unhealthy lifestyle choices as far as food is concerned, or whatever other things that you're taking into your body. Your diet is not just concerning the food that you eat. It's the information, it's everything that you take in, the food that you eat, what you drink, what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, all of the things that you're taking in. And so most of us are similar in that we have very unhealthy examples, and we have already been exposed to unhealthy diets and unhealthy lifestyles, to where, you know what I'm saying, once you've had that burger, once you've tasted it, it's like, oh shit, this is great. Oh my God, like this tastes so good. Like, wow, this is so satisfying. And you get hooked, right? You get hooked on it. And then you want to continue to feel that. You want to continue to feel that satisfaction that you got, but it's not healthy. Just because you can do something, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to repeat this, but obviously a lot. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you can doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because you can doesn't mean it's healthy. And so, because of this, we need to be more cognizant, more aware, more conscious, and more intentional about the things that we are doing. Because just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because you can have as much sex as you want, just because you can eat as much as you want, when you want, where you want, what you want, doesn't mean that everything that is available to you is good for you. You have to care about the quality of the things that you're accepting in your life. You have to care about the quality of the people that you're having sex with and sharing this energy with. You have to care about the quality of the relationship that you have with this person. Yes, in that thread, I talked about love a lot because I need that for me. And I feel like at the end of the day, if you're doing things without love as the foundation of your action, you are not balanced. This is something that I had to address not so long ago, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation that somebody came at me about the tweet and saying, you know what I'm saying, well, you just say that you know what I'm saying, need the emotional fulfillment or whatever. Not everybody needs that. You think you don't need it. I think you do. That's my personal opinion. I think you do. I think that there are people that deny the fact that they, you know what I'm saying, need to have some sort of emotional. When I say emotional, when I say love, I don't mean being in love. When I say, you know what I'm saying, there needs to be the emotional recognition and the emotional acknowledgement when you're sharing sex with somebody, I don't mean that you need to be in love with that person and that this person has to be your soulmate and that you have to spend the rest of your life with this person or anything like that. I'm saying at the foundation, you have to have a mutual level of love, respect, and trust for one another. And that's not happening for most people out here. Maybe there's a mutual level of respect, but most of y'all niggas don't trust each other. And that's something that I talked about in the thread. I'm not having sex with somebody that I don't trust with my life and my soul, because when I'm laying with that person, that's what I'm giving them. Every single time you lay with another human being to engage in sex, your life is in their hands. You know why? Because they have to be the ones that are responsible for telling you if they have any issues, if they have any STIs or STDs, if they have any issues emotionally, mental illness, you know what I'm saying, any other mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever issues that they have, you are coming in direct contact with by virtue of the fact that you have exchanged that sexual energy with them. And so the problem is that there are people out here that maybe you guys are cool, maybe you're friends, maybe you're cordial, maybe you have respect for each other. You probably definitely are physically attracted to each other, but do you trust that person? Do you know that person's history? Have you had enough time with that person to even know the type of person that they are, really, truly? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying, for me, yes, for me, love has to be a big part of it. More than just, you know what I'm saying, love for all humans and universal love. But like there has to be love like actual like intimacy, like actual like heart to heart like love that we have in order for me to enjoy it. I understand for me to enjoy it completely and for it to reach its highest, you know what I'm saying, like for me to get the most out of it, right? I have enjoyed sex in the past that wasn't a factor. But like I said, the sex that I had, you know what I'm saying, that was the best sex that I've ever had, that connection on all of the levels, not just on a heart level, but you know what I'm saying, if we were talking, energy centers and chakras, there is a connection along all of the energy centers. That's when you're going to get the most out of sex. And if you want to have the best sex ever, in my opinion, you want to explore having sex with people that you have those types of connections with. Why rob yourself of having the best sex ever in your life? Why lower your standards for your sex life so much so that you would just have sex with whoever just to please the first level, the root chakra level, the root and sacral chakra level satisfaction? There's so many more levels. There's so many more other parts that can get activated. Why sell yourself short like that? I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like why not? Like why not do more? Why not want more for yourself? Why not want more for that other person than just, oh, this is just physically pleasing? There's so much more than just our bodies here, okay? So like that's really like all I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like, when I hear people saying, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, it's just because it feels good, and just for the nut, just for the pleasure, like, it really worries me, because I'm like, you sound like you're one step away from sexual addiction. If you can't control your impulses, if you can't stop yourself from feeling a sexual craving, and then realizing that all it is a physical desire, physical craving for something, if you can't stop yourself, that to me says you're allowing your body to call the shots, and you're one step away from sexual addiction. That's not healthy. That's not balanced. We want to reach balance. We want to reach equilibrium. We want to come into a neutral place. And all of that has to do with us being aware of our actions, of us being aware of our impulses and our desires. You need to ask yourself those questions. Why do you want it? There's so many people that feel desires and feel cravings and things, and they don't ask themselves why. They don't ask themselves where this is coming from. Where is it coming from? Give yourself the time to ask those questions, and at least be honest with yourself about what it is that you're doing and why. If you can be honest with yourself about the fact that you're having sex just because you want to feed that desire, I mean, I personally don't support that, and I personally don't agree with that, but at least you're being honest. I have a very strong feeling, though, that those that are saying that are not being honest. I have a very strong feeling that those that are saying that this is just a physical thing and that that's all they're concerned with, there's actually way more to it that they're just not, you know what I'm saying, being aware of. Being aware of. Um, Stop having sex when you're bored. Like, there are so many other things that you can be doing that are so much more like constructive. Sex can be extremely constructive, but if you're having sex because you're bored, you're not having constructive sex. If you're having sex because you're bored, you are, again, just satisfying a very basic, a very low level of your being. There's so much more to our lives and our experiences here than just that. Because the thing is if it was just about the physical pleasure, I feel like we wouldn't have developed mentally the way that we have. If all sex was supposed to be was just something that you did, you felt aroused, you felt horny, and then you felt like, you know what I'm saying, when you aligning with, like, you know what I'm saying, that biological impulse to reproduce, we would be no different than dogs and cats and monkeys and birds and all of these other animals that, you know what I'm saying, have sex for pleasure and have sex to reproduce. But we're different than animals because we have the mental capacity to logic, to ask ourselves questions, to, you know what I'm saying, really explore the motivations behind our impulses. I feel like that's really important. I feel like this is something that people are kind of just like, you know, ignoring. Like, we're not animals. We are, but we're not just animals. We have these bodies that are mammals and that have biological functions, but we're not just these vehicles. And, you know, another thing, you know, from the conversation or not the conversation, but the debate that, you know, the short debate that I had earlier before I got on here was the comment, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, my standpoint on this topic is dogmatic. And I just need you guys to understand, like, there's value to, and I talked about this in the video yesterday, there's value to the religious dogma just describing how we're supposed to approach our sexuality. There is a reason why those things are values. You guys have to stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There's a reason why there are gems in all of the religious texts. There, at the end of the day, if you break away, you know what I'm saying, all of the misogyny and, you know what I'm saying, the patriarchy out of these texts, there's a reason why they said what they said. Stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There is something valuable to take from these religious texts and from these religious dogmas. No, you don't necessarily need to dedicate your whole life and dictate your whole life by the way in which religion says you should. But there are things that are of value that people have just distorted. And so, yes, the things that I'm saying mirror the things that we see in religious dogma because there's truth to it. There's truth to those values. There's truth to those rules. If you know what I'm saying, that's the way you look at it. There's truth to it. I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious. I don't subscribe to any religion, but I feel like I use a lot of the values and a lot of the religions that I have explored over the years and implement them in my life because they're important, they're helpful, they help us cultivate a healthy, balanced life. And everybody wants to rebel against religion. And so, again, like I said, we're going completely on the other end of the spectrum. And that's the wrong move, too. I promise. Um, let's see. I guess I want to talk about ties, energetic cords and ties that, you know what I'm saying, occur. I mean, I feel like it's common sense, but I feel like, you know, I have to bring it up just in case there are people that maybe don't understand. When you lay with somebody and when you exchange sexual energy with somebody, you are tying yourself to that person. All of the things that they have issues with, all of their fears, all of their demons, you know what I'm saying, their habits and their behaviors, female or male, vagina or penis, when you lay with that person, you become one. And to me, I feel like that in and of itself should deter you from having casual random sex because you don't know the people that you're laying with. You don't know what you're picking up. And you should care about yourself enough to know who you're laying with and what you could potentially pick up from that person. If you knew everything about the people that you had sex with in the past before you had sex with them, ask yourself that question. If you knew then what you know today about the people that you've laid with, would you still have sex with them? I can tell you that the majority of the people that I've had sex with, that answer would be no. because I didn't take the time, because I didn't value my sexual energy enough at the time. I didn't take the time to really explore and investigate who these people were. I felt a physical sexual attraction to them, which was stimulating my sacral root chakra, but all of the other energy centers, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown chakra, all of those other energy centers, I'm just totally not even, you know what I mean? Like, what are those? I'm only paying attention to the physical, to the base level desire, where there are all of these, a whole lifetime that this other person, you know what I'm saying, of experiences of, you know what I'm saying, their sexual partners. Oh my God, like, you have had sex with the people that you've had sex with, and you've had sex with all of their sexual partners, and all of their sexual partners, and all of their sexual partners. You don't know who the fuck's energy is inside you right now, unless you've been doing the work to cleanse yourself of it. You don't know whose energy you have inside you. You don't know whose emotions those are that you're feeling. You don't know whose ideas those are that you have. You don't know whose sadness that is that you're feeling. You don't know whose depression that is that you're feeling, that anxiety. You don't know where this confusion is coming from, because you're having sex with all of these people, not knowing who they are and not knowing what they come with. I feel like it's important to care about yourself more than to just have sex with someone that you don't know on a deep and intimate level before you share that physical intimacy. I feel like intimacy needs to be cultivated in other ways before you lay down with someone. Because how do you even know you like that person really? All we're going off of, all we're seeing, the lens that we're viewing everybody in is this sexualized lens. They're attractive, they're fine, they're hot, they have dreads, they have tattoos, oh, they work out, oh, that her ass is fat, oh, her waist is small, oh, whatever. Like, all of these things physically that are attractive to you draw you to that person, and that's valid, right? You are valid in feeling that sexual attraction. There's a reason why you feel that way toward that person. Does that necessarily mean that they're a person that you need to lay with? Not necessarily, no. Because do you know who they are? Do you know where they've been? Do you guys even ask each other about your sexual history and past before you have sex with somebody? Do you guys even actually ask each other about your sexual status if that person has gotten tested? If that person has any STDs, or if they have ever had any STDs? Do you guys actually have those conversations before you have sex? Or do you just see somebody you are attracted to and you fuck them because you are just so controlled by that physical desire that your mind just goes out of the fucking picture? You stop thinking. That's what literally happens when you are when let's paint a picture of a scenario. You go out with your friends. I'm going to say it's me. I go out with my friends because this has happened before, because I've done it. That's why I'm talking about it. I go out with my friends. I drink a little. I smoke a little. You know what I'm saying? My inhibitions have lowered. You know what I'm saying, mental capacity is not at its highest level. I see a guy that I'm attracted to and I'm like, oh, he's fine, he's this, whatever. That initial observation of that physical attraction I feel toward that person that I'm seeing is my sacral chakra, root chakra right there. When you see someone and you feel physically attracted to them and you can see or feel yourself having sex with them, that's your root chakra, that's your sacral chakra at work and functioning. Great, it's working, awesome. But what ends up happening is, because of the state of mind that I'm in, because my inhibitions are lowered, because my defenses are lowered, and because I'm not thinking as much, maybe he comes and talks to me, or maybe I go and talk to him. Maybe we flirt, you know what I mean? And that physical desire and craving that I'm feeling in my sacral chakra is increasing and becoming more powerful. because I'm giving more energy and attention to it. We exchange numbers, you know what I'm saying? I'm still not thinking, and then we end up hooking up. And nowhere in that whole entire situation did I ever say, who is this person? Are they a good person? What do they like? What do they not like? What issues do they have? Did they have any mental illness? What you know what I'm saying? Did they have any STDs? Have they ever had any STDs? Have they had sex with other people that, you know what I'm saying, maybe had STDs and maybe they don't know? Have, you know what I'm saying, what were their other sexual partners like? What kind of people were those other people? Because he's carrying all of their energies as well. I'm not asking myself any of those questions because I'm just letting my body and my physical desires tell me that I'm attracted to him and that I want to have sex with him. But the mental aspect, the part where you actually use your logical mind to help you make decisions, is just out the fucking door. Why? Why do we allow ourselves to do shit like that? Why do we feel like it's okay for us to do things that can be dangerous, actually life threatening, you know what I'm saying, in certain cases? Why do we allow ourselves to make those types of choices and decisions without thinking about them harder and longer and with more intention and conscious awareness? Why is that okay? Why are we promoting that behavior? So many people on my Twitter, it's just for a nut. It's just for a nut. I just want to have an orgasm. It just feels good. Why aren't you thinking about the type of person you're laying with? Why? Why is it okay for you to lay with a random ass person? Why? Why don't you care about yourself more than to just accept whatever the fuck somebody puts on your table? Why aren't your standards higher? Not just physical standards. I'm not talking about having high standards and like, oh, I'm only going to date a guy that works out and that is in shape and that has money. Why aren't your spiritual standards and your spiritual values and your emotional standards and values higher for yourself? Why? Because you're allowing your body to call the shots. That's why. Because you're not valuing your spirit and your heart and your mind more. Why? I am someone that asks why to everything. Why? Because I need you to understand what your motivations are. When you're able to honestly see that for what it is, when you're able to honestly see your motivations for your actions for what they are, then you're going to start really being able to look at the things that you've done and being like, damn, that wasn't in my best interest. And I wish I mean, this is, again, this is why we're having this conversation, because you don't know. You don't know unless you're asking that person those questions, unless y'all are sitting down and having a actual discussion about yourselves, about your lives, about your experiences, about the things that you've been through. You don't know who that person is. And because you don't know who that person is, you lay with that person, and then there are things that start to change in your life after you've had sex with them, and you're not able to associate the fact that there are certain changes that have occurred as a result of the sex, but like you're not making that connection. You're not realizing that that person had an issue with depression, and you know what I'm saying, now, you know what I'm saying, a week later you find yourself unable to get out of bed, unable to go to work, unable to go to school. All of your regular habits and activities start to change, and you think it's you. You think it's something wrong with you. You think it's coming from you. You think that this is sourced from you. And really, what it probably is that you have an etheric cord between you and that person on one of your chakras or multiple. They are feeding you unconsciously this energy and these emotions and these issues that they're going through. And you don't know. You have no fucking idea. You have no fucking clue. You don't know how to fix it either, because the thing is because it's not you, You start to try to do things differently, maybe to try to like adjust your lifestyle. Maybe it's outside of your character or your nature to even feel that way. And it's like, how do you even handle it? How do you even fix this? What do you even do? Maybe you start talking to people. Maybe you start trying to make some changes in your life to improve the situation, but you see it's not changing. Why? Because it's not you. It's that other person. It's that other person's energy that you're siphoning. Or maybe they're draining you. Maybe all of the energy and vitality and life that you have, you're just giving it all to them because you have that cord to that person. They're just sucking it all out of you. They're sucking all the life out of you months and years after you've laid with them. And you don't even know it. And you didn't bother to ask. So when you start trying to make some changes, when you start trying to fix it, when you realize that something is broken and something is wrong, and you start trying to do something about it, and then you see that nothing's changing, are you gonna ever is it ever gonna click that, you know what I'm saying, that, maybe it's not you? Is it ever gonna click that maybe there's something else that's happening? Maybe somebody else's energy that you're feeling? I get a lot of people that come in my DMs and you know what I'm saying, asking me how to remove these ties that they have formed with people that they have had sex with. How about we stop making the ties to begin with? Instead of talking about how to fix it, how about we start talking about how to prevent it altogether? I'm tired of telling women the same shit. I'm tired of telling women do yoni steams, do cord cutting rituals, use yoni eggs, dance, you know what I'm saying, do womb opening, hip opening yoga positions. I'm tired of telling you guys the same shit. Because the fact of the matter is, you don't give a fuck about how you got in the position that you're in. You just want to fix it. You just want a band-aid. You just want a pill to fix the symptoms. But you're not caring about the cause of the disease, which is the fact that you're out here making irresponsible ass fucking decisions with your body. I'm tired of talking about the band-aid temporary ass fixes for all of these things, because all y'all niggas are gonna do is turn around and do the shit again. Ask yourself why you keep putting yourself in that position in the first place. Like, I feel like this is simple math and I feel like this is common sense, but the fact of the matter is, I didn't understand this until I faced negative consequences. I had to learn the hard way for me to understand that the way in which I was going about utilizing, exercising, exchanging, you know what I'm saying, my sexual energy, I had to learn the hard way. I didn't know that there were going to be any consequences for me approaching sex the way that I had been. I didn't know. I had to go through dealing with all of the negative effects of being undisciplined with my sexuality for me to even be here right now talking to you about this topic. And I wish that I would have heard somebody saying the things that I'm saying right now before I made those decisions. Or I wish that I would have heard these things maybe even in the midst of me making these decisions. Maybe it could have stopped me in my tracks before it got worse. I was the most depressed in my life, ever in my life, as a direct result of someone that I was in a relationship with, that I had sex with often, that, you know what I'm saying, though we were in a relationship, though we were, boyfriend and girlfriend, and though we were dating, I didn't do my due diligence in figuring out the type of person that he was. He was extremely depressed. He was extremely unhappy. He was extremely in a dark, in a bad place when we first met. I was attracted to, you know what I'm saying, him physically, but I think I also was attracted to the darkness in him because I felt like I could help him. I felt like I could fix him. And I didn't know at the time the consequences of laying with someone who was in the type of place that he was in. You know what I'm saying? Not doing what I needed to do to protect myself emotionally, energetically, and physically from, you know what I'm saying, the consequences of that sexual encounter and exchange. And you know what I'm saying? After I was the most depressed I've ever been during the relationship, and after we ended up breaking up finally, even more so. And I thought it was me. I thought it was me. I thought it was my fault. I thought I was doing something wrong. I'd never been depressed before in my life before that. And I tell you, it took me years to let that energy go. It took me years to cleanse my body of his energy. And you know what I'm saying? I think I've accomplished it now, but I'm not even 100% sure. Because of that's how much of a cloud that other people's essence can put on you and the clarity that you have about you and your life and your feelings. So everybody wants to get so fucking caught up on me talking about it's important to have love for the person that you have sex with, and that you should have sex, you know what I'm saying, you should, you know, preserve that energy for people that you care about, and whatever. Y'all are worried about the wrong things. Y'all are worried about the wrong things that I'm saying. Like, yeah, for me that's really important. I understand that for other people it's not. But like at the end of the day, you can't get away from the fact that you are creating ties to every person that you lay down with. That's not something that you can avoid. And I'm going to talk about this in the context of sex work. I've talked about it a little bit. I'm probably going to do like an individual video for those who are sex workers and who need to start considering and dealing with like sexual energetic hygiene and how to make that productive and safe. Um, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, not everybody is out here having sex for the emotional aspect or for, you know what I'm saying, for the magical aspect of it. There are people out here that are using sex as a means of providing for themselves or as a means of healing others, or you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. And I acknowledge that, and that's significant and that's important. And I have the utmost respect for sex workers. You know what I'm saying, dipped my toe in the pool of sex work for a moment, but I realized it wasn't for me, just because of the way, you know what I'm saying, that my perspective on sexuality and sexual energy. Um, but I like I said, I think I'm gonna do an individual video for sex workers, um, or those that are interested in it, and how, you know what I'm saying, this conversation relates to that. But at the end of the day, like I said, like we can't, you know what I'm saying, we can't take that, we cannot take the spiritual aspect out of sex. It's impossible. It's impossible. You may think that you're not, you know what I'm saying, tapping into those aspects when you're laying down with somebody, but you are 100% of the time, every single time. That's all I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Orlando said, well, I've been celibate for damn near a year. How do I fix me? I don't care for a quick fix. If you mean how do you fix, do you mean how can you like fix your relationship to your sexuality? or I kind of need you to clarify what your question is. If you guys have questions, now would be the time to ask, because I'm probably going to end this video in a moment. But like I said, we're going to continue these conversations. I have a lot more points that I want to make and a lot more things that I kind of want to address later. But yeah, if you have questions, I would ask them now. But I don't know if I fully understand what your question is. I don't know if you're, I mean, I'll give you a moment to, type or whatever, if that's what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like, you can't take the spiritual aspect out of anything that we do. Stop being ashamed, depressed, and shit. I know my sexuality. I mean, the fact that you are working on celibacy right now is a step in the right direction, because in order for you to really understand like where you are in your relationship to your own sexuality, I don't mean sexuality meaning like who you're attracted to or what you're attracted to. I'm talking about sexuality meaning like sexual energy. The fact that you're already working on celibacy is a step in the right direction, because what this is doing is this is removing those distractions. This is removing those external, influences that are confusing and clouding your own energy. You may be experiencing, if you feel negative emotions still, and you haven't been um, engaging in sex with anyone, you may be dealing with um, some sort of like siphoning of energy that I talked about, where maybe there is a sexual partner that you have had that is still very much so energetically linked to you, and they could definitely be, draining you of your energy. And this isn't something like I do want to like acknowledge, and I want you guys to keep in mind that like, when we're talking about like these sexual like demons or whatever, sexual vampires, like most of these people aren't conscious of the fact that they're draining you of your energy. Most of this isn't intentional. And so I don't want you guys to take it personal, but that may be, especially when it comes to like feeling depressed, that may be a an explanation. So you might need to work on doing some work on your sacral and your root chakra and healing those energy centers. You may have holes or tears in those energy centers, which is allowing that energy to just spill out of you without your control or without your awareness or knowledge. So you might need to work on, strengthening those energy centers back up. Particularly your sacral chakra, though, if you're feeling depressed. And honestly, that the thing about when we're talking about the chakras and the energy centers, when one of them is out of whack, the ones that are surrounding that one start to get out of whack too. And so if your sacral chakra is fucked up, you know, it's very likely that your solar plexus chakra, which has a lot to do with depression as well, and it's very likely that that chakra is also damaged, or maybe it's exhausted because maybe it's been, like overworking itself to compensate for the fact that your sacral chakra or your root chakra aren't functioning healthily and properly. So I would look, into exploring, investigating, the health of those energy centers, doing activities, looking into and researching ways in which you can improve the strength and the health and the function of those energy centers is going to help. If you do feel that it is a tie that you have to someone, definitely want to work on and explore removing that tie. Unless you want to keep the tie, that's a whole different thing. But if you don't, you know what I'm saying, if you know that you have this connection to a person who, you know what I'm saying, is not balanced, then you definitely want to address that, and you want to you know, do what you can to release that tie and that cord. As far as etheric cords and soul ties, let's say it was a healthy kind of tie. Like, I guess I'm saying, do you want to clear out that cord too? Should you do it after every sexual encounter, even when there is a multi-level connection? So if it's a healthy tie, you don't necessarily need to clear that cord. Like, I still have some cords between me and a few people that I had a very positive relationship with, outside of just sex. You know what I mean? So I choose to keep those ties, and I choose to keep those cords because the relationship is healthy and it's not damaging. So it's okay, you know what I'm saying, to have cords in general. It's just the type of who is the cord connected to is the thing that's the issue. Not necessarily the cord itself, but who is that cord tying you to? And you don't necessarily need to do it after every single sexual encounter. I think it's beneficial mostly to be, especially if this is a person that you're trying to cultivate and develop a relationship with. The cords are the things that connect you to that person, and that allows you to feel that person, and that allows you to develop that intimacy with that person. I really only recommend releasing cords and getting rid of, you know what I'm saying, those connections when it comes to people that you are no longer in a relationship with, that you're no longer in contact with, or people that, you know what I'm saying, you have, you know, that you had a negative relationship with, or negative experiences with. Because you know, the good ones can stay, is essentially how I look at it. They can be very beneficial. You know, it helps to, like, the way that I kind of look at it is like, you know, keeping that cord around for those people that I had a positive experience in a relationship with allows me to kind of like intuitively, like telepathically check in on that person. Um, Telepathically, like, share, you know what I'm saying, caring, loving feelings for that person, just to say, hey, I care about you, I miss you, I hope you're well. You know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, having to, you know, pull out my phone and send text. You know what I'm saying? I can just, you know, center myself and my energy and send that signal out to that person. But that's only if you want to maintain it. Um Also, will you be going into masturbation? I've seen some things online about how it can negatively trigger you when you're healing and detoxing. I forgot about masturbation. I will add that to the conversation because that is good, a very good topic. Definitely something that I want to get into. We'll talk about that later, but thank you for bringing that up. So okay, so I'll just end it here. Definitely, guys, like I said last time, you know, continue to contribute to this conversation via my Twitter if you have one. You know, because again, this is something that we're going to kind of take our time to break down, and I do want to spend time on this because this is an important conversation. This is an important aspect, and I feel like our life depends on it. So, like I said, I'll be back hopefully tomorrow, but if not, you know what I'm saying, I'll obviously keep everybody updated about, you know, when the next video is going to be. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for contributing to the conversation. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.